Goddess of the sun brings you life, a deity. Best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man. Become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so expound. A morning star is seen in our side. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get like mystical formation.
Hello, 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 governors. Welcome to Osiris League Season 10, Round of 16. I'm your host, Plot Gaming Caster and content creator for Rise of Kingdoms. And today, casting alongside me, we have the one, we have the only, Brian Koo. How's it going, Brian?
Plato, great to hear you, buddy. Great to be casting another season of the Osiris League. We are into the double digits now. Season 10 of the Osiris League is upon us.
Yeah, super excited to bring back Osiris League and casting alongside you, as we are actually in the Osiris League knockout stage. So that means every game from here on until the finals is a win or go home scenario for all the teams. They're vying for the championship as they verse the best 16 teams from their realm. Today we are casting from the realm of Basset, 1473 from Kingdom 1473 versus E68 from Kingdom 1368. 1473 is the first seed coming out of Group C, winning against their group peers in a convincing 3-0 fashion. Meanwhile, E68 from the second seed from Group A. Meanwhile, E68 is the second seed from Group A, where they went 2-1, losing against OWR in the group stage. Both teams are looking to continue their Osiris League campaign to the quarterfinals, but only one team can prevail. Will 1473 continue their undefeated Osiris League run, or will E68 show that even as their group second seed, they can still go far in this tournament? Brian Koo, what are your overall thoughts of this matchup?
Plato, I think we were kicking this thing off with a really, really good matchup. This is one of those classic 50-50 propositions. As you said, 1473, they did win their group and were dominant in all their matches. However, E68 is a team that has made the top 8 of the Osiris League the last 2 seasons. That's really impressive. That's rarefied air right there to be in the top 8 in back-to-back seasons. In the case of 1473, they've made the top 32 in a couple seasons past. However, I did speak to their ARC lead about their team, and he described it as a newly formed team. They're an international team, maybe 50% American, 50% European, and 1473, they are a very big kingdom. They are an imperium. They have 1.8 trillion kill points, and so they are this very established kingdom that has done well in KVK. They're looking to do well in Osiris League, but as you say, this is win or go home territory today. And E68, which is a mainly Chinese kingdom, I mean, they are just a really, really strong Ark of Osiris team. And so, Plato, to me, this matchup, is a classic case of account strength on the side of 1473 against ARC teamwork on the side of 1368. And I think within this matchup and within that narrative, we get to see what ARC is really all about.
Indeed, we get to see what ARC is all about. E68, as you said, they've made it pretty far in previous tournaments. 1473 trying to become that hybrid kingdom, right? There's this discourse of, should we be an Ark of Osiris kingdom? Should we be a KVK kingdom? Should we be a Supreme Strife kingdom when that was around last year? And it looks like they're trying to make that transition to be both of this KVK focus, but also this ARC focus, and try to be establish themselves as one of the top echelon kingdoms in the game. It has been a while though, Brian, since we've last talked, since we've last casted as Osiris League. I think the last stream we saw was Grand Prix like 9 months ago. And a lot has changed in this game in 9 months. You know, there's actually a new objective on the map called the Altar of Anubis. And I know you've been casting a lot of these matches. How has the Altar of Anubis kind of shifted, or has it shifted the paradigm in any of these metas that we've seen, comparing it to the Ark of Osiris 9 months ago?
Listen, it has changed the Ark a little bit. But what the developers have done over the years with Ark is they've just made gradual improvements to the game mode, and they just keep, hitting singles or hitting home runs. All these improvements have made Ark better. And so what these Anubis monsters do is they're at the edges of the map. They're at the far left side and the far right side of the map. They give you additional buffs for each time that you kill it. You can kill it up to 3 times per match. The first one gives you a points boost, a 15% points boost for 4 minutes. Then the second time you kill it, you get that points boost plus a march speed buff. And if you kill the Arbiter of Anubis the third time, then you get the point bonus, the march speed, and a couple of skill points. So it just makes the game a little bit more interesting, Plato. It makes the game a little bit more dynamic where, it's less about the middle, it's more about your marches on the far reaches of the map. And then also because of that points bonus, there's less incentive to max hold the Ark, because you want to return the Ark while that points bonus is active, right? So we'll see exactly how it changes things. It's not the monsters are not the focus of the map, but they make the map a little bit wider and add a little bit more variety to the strategies that teams can have.
All right, let us go into the game here to show exactly where these altars are.
Yes.
I remember when I first saw this new map, you could see everything's pretty much the same, except all the way up here in no man's land, Altar of Anubis. These are where those monsters, those Anubises will spawn. Anubi? What are multiple Anubises?
Yeah.
As we continue on, you can see they are starting to teleport in here. 1 minute 40 seconds until the match spawns. 1473 in the top left corner. In the bottom right corner, we have E68. And this is really interesting. You could click, you could see the stats of each player every single time you click one of their cities, which is a pretty new feature. I don't remember this being in Ark of Osiris, so this is pretty cool.
That's actually, this is the first time I'm noticing that too. And I got to tell you, like whenever you load into an Ark match, you kind of you try to scout out the other team real fast. You just like look at their alliance and how many stars they have. And I think my teammates generally just look at the power of the opponents. But now you got all the info. You can just like pull a couple of them up and see exactly what their win rate is in Ark of Osiris. It's
average KD ratio in map battles. Oh my goodness, stats are coming in Rise of Kingdoms. And yeah, this is really, really interesting. You kind of get to see the roles each of these players have too, the MVPs they've had. So yeah, this is really, really interesting going into this. You've been watching a lot of these openings, you've been watching a lot of these matches. Has anything changed from the openings? Is there any new strategies, or is it much of the same where you just use the same skills as previously used?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything too different, Plato. I think the trend that I've noticed over the last year or two is like people don't drop their sentries all right at the start. They wait a little while for most of their sentries, which I find interesting. And then, I will say I haven't seen any aggressive obelisk plays yet this season, although it's only been like 3 or 4 matches, so it's always possible. But yeah, it's pretty standard. The main thing is you see how slick and crisp teams are with the opening, right? You kind of get a sense of like how much they've practiced.
Yeah, we have from 1473 the quadruple obelisk rally, as well as a rally to one of these structures here. It is the outpost, the opponent outpost, and then on the other side it looks like it's just going to be the 4 obelisk rallies from E68. So pretty standard stuff. You could see the initial sentry from E68 going to be on top of this outpost of Iset, trying to make sure that there isn't any shenanigans happening middle to try to wrap around the structure. This is the more typical sentry that we usually see behind this mountain, where the desert altar, sky altar, so you could kind of see how many marches are going to be at that outer lane in the top side of the map here from E68. And yeah, look at all these sentries coming out. Brian, talking about, it's been a while since we've casted. There's been a lot of new commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, the Sun Tzus of the world, the Alps of the world. Have any of these commanders really changed the meta at all in Ark of Osiris?
So, listen, if you want to talk about who's changing the meta in Ark the most, I think it's really David, because David is just a very strong cavalry garrison commander. Now, Sun Tzu is obviously, a top-tier open field commander, no question about it. And so we are going to see, I think everyone will be running Sun Tzu here. I think this might be the first year BQ is in the Osiris League 2. I can't remember exactly. But, obviously Sun Tzu will be used by pretty much 100% of the open field players. But, meta-wise, I think he's almost just like a given. I think the question, Plata, with the meta is really going to be these second-tier newer commanders. Like, do they get run? Like, does Alp Arslan get used? I'm already seeing a few Herman primaries, and so I assume there's going to be an Alp behind them. But then, I'm also seeing some BQ primaries, and so the question is Vercingetorix going to be behind BQ? Are they going to be running Philip behind BQ? These are the things that we're going to figure out in these early Osiris League matches, and it's super useful information, right? Like, it's so useful to see what the top teams actually value. Like, do they value Vercingetorix enough to put him into some of these lineups? Or is he just like not good enough for a 5-March lineup?
Yeah, I think the meta really does shift starting from the round of 16, because usually the group stage, there's like a very heavy favorite in the group, and then from there, the meta, you don't really get to test the meta. These teams are the best of the best from their realms, so we're going to be seeing the best of the best gameplay from these guys. And you can see these guys are literally right on top of the sentry. This is an absolutely huge sentry from 1473. They know exactly what is going on from E68, and this is a typical new kind of meta where you combine both lanes here, and so that and go in the middle, converge in the middle, so that you can be flexible and kind of respond based on what your opponent is doing, Brian.
Yeah, I like this. I think we saw this from the Chinese teams in the Grand Prix last season. It was a good move, but in this case, E68, they are just getting sniffed out by the classic ward. Like, I love this ward from Blue. A lot of teams put a ward here, so it's interesting that E68 did gather right here. And look at this, both teams on the top side, they're like shadowing each other. They can see each other. And Blue has not really decided where to go yet, but actually Red is stealthily working their way to the Shrine of Life. Like, as much as Blue spotted out Red is actually managing to snooker them a little bit here on the outside.
There is no vision on this outside lane. Perhaps they're like, okay, there's a huge murder ball here. This has to be everyone. No, there are a couple marches, as you said. They're so far out that they're touching the Altar of Anubis. So that's how you know they're super, super far out. And it looks like there will be a Shrine of Life attack. Now, the question is, do those marches out at the Shrine of Life compromise their murder ball at the Desert Altar, which typically is the main focus? For those that are new into Ark of Osiris, The reason why these altars tend to be the point of emphasis is because they generate way more points than the shrines. An altar generating 150 points per minute. 1473 looks like they took that desert altar, their home desert altar, and actually E68 using no mark early. What do you think of that, Brian?
Yeah, really interesting. We've seen no mark be used early to great effect at times, but I would say that the red team, they don't have like dominance at any of the blue team structures. The reason you cast no mark early is you want to get the faster capture of these buildings, which then leads to you getting the first capture bonus on the buildings. But if you look around the map, you see that other than this desert altar where they just sort of like won the fight, quite frankly, well, actually, that's their building. So, like, yeah, they're just not getting too many buildings from blue to really take advantage of no mark. Although they have, at this point, flipped the Shrine of War, and they've got to hold it for 2 minutes with about 3 marches there just to get the first capture. So I think this early no mark is pretty risky at this point. Like, it's not paying off immediately. Let's put it that way.
So what does an early no mark do? Well, you're able to capture the initial caps a lot faster. Because usually it's 2 minutes, but for the initial, it's actually 3 minutes. So because of that,
the
initial capture is 3 minutes. Yeah. So because of that, you're able to cut it down to 1.5 minutes to kind of guarantee that you get these initial captures. Perhaps they just wanted to make sure that they could guarantee the Shrine of Life as well as Shrine of War, getting that initial 400 extra points. If they're able to get both of them, that's 800 points for them, 800 points taken away from their opponents. So that's a 1.6k point delta. But again, this is going to compromise their ability to contest that first arc and to contest middle. And as you said, with this Altar of Anubis, 1473, they're going to be able to kind of hold the arc. And if they want to go for these new mobs, for these new Anubis, they're able to get that buff, get extra points. We'll have to see how E68 responds.
Yeah, and right now, as far as this no mark being effective, the E68 is really cutting it close. We see the fight here at the Shrine of Life. They've got 45 seconds to go. It's like, are they going to get this building?
Herman.
The rally's coming in. Yeah, the rally is coming in right now. It's a full Attila Subutai rally coming in on this building with the Herman garrison. So they're just cutting it so close, right? Both teams, this is right on the edge here. It looks to me like Blue's going to flip this building, though, which does neutralize the no mark. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the other building. I do think that they might have gotten the first capture on the Shrine of War down south. I believe so, just based on the points so far. But that one was very close as well. So, yeah, I think it's an okay no mark, but not great.
1473 was actually able to snipe the Shrine of War as well. You could tell because
were they okay?
If you capture a structure and the first points are still not taken, it increases to 3 minutes from the typical 2. But if the first points have already been taken, it only takes 2 minutes before it starts generating points. So because there is a 2-minute 18-second timer on Shrine of War, that's how you know that the first occupation points are still available. And you can see 1473 now starting to trickle in to middle. The tempo of E68 seems to be a little bit off here, Brian.
Yeah, they wiped at the buildings that they expected to hold a little bit longer. So in that sense, it should improve their tempo. But what we're seeing from E68 is a lot of marches staying on the sides, especially at the bottom lane. On the bottom side there, it looks to me like E68 is going to probably skip this mid based on their movement so far. And that's just a very, like you said, in many ways, as much as this map has stretched out, because of the points buff, the arcs are actually worth a little bit more. Like, I think, Plata, we have to make arcs worth 10% more points, simply because we have to assume most of the time they're going to return it while the Anubis buff is active.
Again, for those that join the stream, there is a new Anubis buff in this season of Osiris League, which, when you take it, allows you to generate 15% more bonus points from any point generation. So that would include arc, that would include provisions, that also include structures. So what we're saying here is that if they want to capture the arc, which it looks like they'll be able to get first arc pretty handily here, 2 minutes left to go, and it looks like there's barely, I mean, there's some marches coming in from E68, but it'll be a late contest. If you're able to also take the altar of Anubis and, you know, defeat Anubis, you get those extra points, and you're going to be able to go out and go far with these extra 15%. And I believe the buff stack as well. If you have both Anubis, then it actually goes up to 25% of points generated. So that's going to be absolutely huge. We'll have to see if 1473 take advantage of that.
Yes, and you made a great correction earlier for me about the first capture. I'll just note that it's a 20% buff if you do get both. So yeah, you can ultimately get 20% more points from your arc captures, but also the gatherers that you brought in. And we did see 1473 cast stocking up very early on in the match. So they are going to be pushing gathering in this match. And yeah, you know, listen, I think 1473 is off to a good start here as far as they may not have to use too many skills mid, and so they can keep just banking that stocking up for later. But we'll see. I mean, ultimately, the blue team, they did adjust by not bringing too many marches to mid. And Plato, how interesting is this? That they might have over-adjusted here, buddy, because it looks to me like red has more people mid.
Yeah, it does look like E68 have more people mid. They are pressing the fight. 50 seconds until the arc spawns. Desert Storm used by both teams, as well as Dust Up from 1473. So there is going to be a point advantage. This is the benefit of, or the detriment rather, for E68 of using that early no mark, is the fact that they are 2 points down in the mid fight. But look at the sad faces coming out from 1473. It does look really, really dominant so far from E68. The sad faces now just pummeling this murder ball of 1473. And as you said, Brian, this might be an over adjustment as arc is about to spawn in 10 seconds.
1473, they are in big trouble here. They got to the arc first. They could have sent more people there. They diverted so many people to the side that E68, they just looked at the screen and were like, wait a minute, this looks way better for us than we ever thought. And hey, it's a numbers game. At the end of the day, Arc of Osiris is a numbers game. If you bring more people to mid, you can overcome a skill like Dust Up. And E68 grabbing the first arc here after using no mark early, this is not something you see very often. And I think we have to call this an unforced error by 1473. They had so few people mid by the end of that.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, they're there first. That means they're going to bring more people. It should be fine. But E68, the timing of the marches going middle, and I think the marches that were out in the outer lane got sad face so quick. They're just able to go rotate over to middle. And the thing is, they were also successful with their attack on the Sky Altar. You could see it's not draining points for 1473. Same thing with the Desert Altar. They won mid fight, and at one point they also had control of 4 altars. Now it has been flipped. Sky Altar has been captured by 1473, taking away a couple 100 points from E68, but so far so good. They are up by 2.6k points as well as the arc. So this is going to be a really tough hole to climb out of for 1473.
Yeah, you know, the early game narrative that I put out there of account strength versus arc skill, it's playing out a little bit already where, you know, E68 took advantage of an opportunity. As far as the ratio here for total kills versus severely wounded, it's very even. So it's going to be interesting here, Plato. We've got the Altars of Anubis spawning in 3 minutes. You figure both teams are going to head to at least one. And, you know, 1473 is disrupting the red team. They are disrupting E68. They disrupted the no mark. But, you know, it's basically a very close game at this point. It's a close game, E68 with a lead, but 1473, they have not cast no mark yet. So you got to put some of those points back in their pocket.
That is true. No mark again, generating extra points for all of the structures you capture. It is a very strong skill, but it does indicate that you will be going building focus for the next couple of minutes. And we could see the rotation now going to the altar 2 minutes before Anubis spawns. And we see a couple of the first marches here from 1473. Bottom side, looks like not too many or no one actually going to this bottom side altar of Anubis as of yet. Although that might be because they are busy with the Sky Altar. And this Sky Altar has been flipping back and forth in E68's favor. And it looks like, will it be able to be held? Reinforcements are coming in. This is the garrison that you said is a big help. But Sky Altar taken again by E68. Yeah.
I mean, Plato, we have to say this has been a super chaotic match. This has been a really chaotic match. There are marches from both teams all over this map. Buildings are flipping back and forth. Neither team has been able to establish any sort of a pattern here or tradition where like we maintain this building and that gives us stability. I mean, every building is getting flipped here. And you know, I think that's part of why there's just not much action at these altars of Anubis. No one has been in a comfortable enough spot to allocate extra marches to taking out these monsters. So, you know, but the blue team, at least, they have enough people to kill this first altar of Anubis, right? They've got 7 or 8 marches, and that's plenty to take it down. But yeah, at the same time, they're just struggling to hold on to all their buildings.
Yeah, it's sometimes I feel like the best defense is a good offense, and this is what it feels like. The pressure has been on 1473 side over and over again. And the fact that E68 also have the arc, you know, there's 3 ways to gain points in this game, Brian. There's structures, there's the Ark of Osiris, and then there is provisions or gathering. If you're winning 2 out of those 3, you usually win the game, and that has been the case so far for E68. And man, this is gonna be a pretty tough hole to climb out of for 1473. But what do you think they could do? What can 1473 do as the Herald of Anubis has spawned here? But look, there are
so I
some
think this is a good
E68.
example. Yeah, so you know, the thing about these altars, Plato, is that, you know, if you send marches to these things and you don't win, then it's like a huge waste of those marches' time, right? Like it's a huge waste. So what 1473 needs to do is really exactly what they're doing here, is bringing enough marches to waste the time of red. Now the question here is, though, can they win this fight? Like, do they have the account strength to win an even fight against E68? I think they were originally outnumbered by 1 or 2 marches, but now we see more blue marches coming in. This is a very good play to bring in more marches here. It looks like a bunch of people came in, and they needed it. Look, they lost the initial fight here, and so these reinforcements coming in is what's going to be needed to win this Herald of Anubis. E68 at this point, it's guaranteed that these marches have not wasted their time, right? Because they forced reinforcements to come, and they might even win it. Like, they might win this fight. You know, they did a bit of rage dumping there. They wiped the first ball, and now they're rage dumping onto the second ball, and it does seem to be working pretty well. We got a close fight on our hands, Plato. I don't know which team's going to win this one.
I think E68 lost due to the fact that they sent more marches, but as you said, or less marches, but as you said, 1473 had to respond and kind of bring more marches than they initially wanted to. And now we see the altar of Anubis starting to be attacked here.
We've got to fight at the other one. We've actually got to fight at the other one. I don't know if you want to watch
fight on the other one.
What
Okay,
it looks like, but there's a fight on the other one too. Yeah.
So as you can see, the first match that we've casted so far in this Osiris League season with the new altar of Anubis does seem to be a pretty big priority. Look how many marches this is. This is like an altar fight, pretty much.
Yeah, this is crazy, actually. I didn't think teams would prioritize these things this much. They're literally like sending a third of their army to fight for one of these 2 monsters.
Yeah, this is an absolutely huge commitment. But you could see that the Herald of Anubis is being attacked by 1473. 1473 saying, hey, you know what? We are down. We need to get that extra point generation from these heralds. So yeah, this is going to be absolutely huge for them to try to come back into this game, as you know, the arc still hasn't been captured, and they are still down by quite a bit of points. So this is going to be able to kind of bridge that gap little by little. You can kind of see it as like a free no mark in a way, right? Because you're going to be able to generate more points from your structures with this new buff.
It's a really big moment here for 1473 playing themselves back into this match. They are going to take both Altars of Anubis, denying the points boost to the red team. They also have no mark active at this time. And even though they committed all these marches to the sides, they held on to all their buildings. They held on to all their own buildings and took the Shrine of Life from E68. So they're getting way more points per minute right now. And they're denying any sort of extra points for this first arc. It's going to be a flat 3,000 points for E68 when they return the arc. And we can see from the scoreboard that actually that will mean that E68 still has a lead in this match.
Yeah, they have quite a sizable lead for sure. But as you said, there's going to be a lot of potential to come back here with the extra point generation. 217 points per minute from the Sky Altar is pretty insane versus the typical 150 that you get from an altar. Even the Shrine of Life, 116 points per minute. Even the Outpost is actually generating a pretty decent amount. The Obelisk is generating a pretty decent amount. So just making sure you have as many structures as possible is going to be huge for 1473 in their comeback into this game. E68, though, as you said, they do have control of the arc. It feels like they've had control of the field for the most part when they had even numbers. I feel like E68, for those Altars of Anubis, were playing pretty reactively there. They brought some marches, but what could have been done differently is perhaps they could have focused the structures instead, but they weren't able to get any objective control, any extra structures, Brian, with the amount of marches 1473 allocated to those side lane Altars of Anubis.
Yeah, and you make a good point that E68 is doing well in these fights, controlling the sides more often than not. I think I might have been a little bit wrong about the account strength of these two teams. E68 seems to be punching really well in the field, as this QSH Shapur rally does do a lot of damage to the Attila David garrison. E68 swarming this structure alongside this rally, and it's close, Plato. It's a close fight here. It mirrors the match as a whole, that we have had a very close match here where a lot of buildings barely flip or barely hold. 1473, they've had momentum here for a few minutes. Can they maintain the momentum on this building? No, they cannot. The Desert Altar does get flipped, goes to red, and
that's huge.
It's a nice flip. It's a nice flip, but you know, honestly, they just got their own Shrine of Life back. So from a points perspective, it's pretty much an even score, points per minute right at this moment.
So as you can see, the Sky Altar is now back to only generating 172 points per minute. So the buff that we saw was definitely no mark plus the Anubis buff, the point Anubis buff, to generate those 217 points per minute, which is absolutely insane. But look at the points now. It is pretty even in terms of points per minute. In terms of the actual differential, there is currently a 1.3k point differential, but they have not captured the arc yet, which will add an extra 3.5. So Brian, if you're 1473, what can you do moving forward to kind of change the narrative, to kind of change what's been going on in this match, and try to figure out, is this a second Herald of Anubis? Did they spawn again? Or no, the top one wasn't captured.
I think it never got taken. It was never taken. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. So, well, I think, you know, Plato, if you're 1473, the first thing you got to do is just the blocking and tackling of Ark of Osiris, which originally was just hold your own buildings and stabilize there. But now we have this additional fundamental of, if you win the fight at the Herald of Anubis, you have to finish killing it. Because this thing is down to 10% and it is up for grabs, Plato. Whoever gets the last hit on this building is going to take the buff. And it's anybody's game here with 4% and counting left on this monster.
Oh my goodness. I think 1473 was able to get that even with their marches dying. That is crazy.
It's Isit. So Isit is going to be...
Yeah, 1473, top side.
Yes, you're right. It's blue.
That
yep,
is
it's top side
absolutely
who took that.
huge. Wow. I cannot believe their marches were dying. The last soldier just swinging his sword onto Anubis and able to take that buff home for Royal Family 1473. That is going to be absolutely huge to stabilize their point generation. And as you can see, they're kind of down in terms of point generation right now because they're able to capture back the Desert Altar. Their Sky Altar has been taken, though, by E68 for quite some time. It's been taken for so long, in fact, that it will soon start generating points for E68. And you can see here, they're using Dust Up, I believe, for these lane structures, for these this lane timeline right now where you're fighting for structures. You don't usually see open field skills used, but I guess because they have that stocking up skill, they have been gathering throughout this match. They're comfortable just using that skill right here, right now, to make sure that they can stabilize their structures.
Yeah, and the other thing what we have to note is that the arc is almost being max held at this point. There's only 2 minutes left on this arc, and the reason it was held this long is because it took so long to kill the Altar of Anubis. So red team was holding out hope they would get that buff and return the arc during the buff period. They didn't get it, and so now E68, they're just looking for a good timing to return this arc, but they're going to have to find it soon because they've only got 90 seconds left to return this thing.
90 seconds left. It would be really interesting if they just didn't return the arc. We've seen some crazy plays in Arc of Osiris before. But yeah, they will probably return this arc. They will just take the point lead. But this is still within striking range within 1473. 1473 are still within striking range if they capture this second arc. Would you say that the second arc for 1473 is a must get?
Well, I mean, listen, they have way more gatherers. Not way more, but they have a bit more gathering going on in this match than red team does. So I don't think it's an absolute must, Plato, especially when these Anubis buffs are so staggered where a team could potentially take both buffs again. There is the arc return. So interesting timing for the red team returning that arc. I don't think the second arc is an absolute must, but obviously it's super important for both teams. I think what you're looking at now is a really important and interesting spot for blue. Like, they have a giant ball at this enemy Shrine of Life. They are likely to take this building for sure. But then the thing is, there's 7.5 minutes until the next arc. I think at this point, these marches want to stay alive for a very long time and cause a lot of impact on the map. Like, don't just take the Shrine of Life, but either stay there and hold it, or in this case, they have to rotate back. This blue ball has to rotate back to their own building to defend their Sky Altar because they have sort of over-rotated here, Plato, and outran their coverage to where they potentially might lose the more important building. You hope you don't see another unforced error from 1473 here, but as with everything in this match, it's super close. Hard to say what's going to happen at this Sky Altar.
It's really interesting, the amount of pressure that they put on this Shrine of Life is abnormal, to say the least. Usually what you'd see is you'd go from your Sky Altar, repel the enemy, walk to the Desert Altar of your opponent, and then try to have a counter push. But their counter push has been going in a straight line to the Shrine of Life. Again, the reason why the altars tend to be more important is because of the amount of points that they generate. They generate 150 points compared to the altar, which I believe only generates 80 points per minute. So these altars tend to be very, very focused, and that has been E68's game so far, just continuing to try to find these gaps in the defense of 1473. 1473, though, it does look like they have enough people here. They have a double siege just waiting in the back to reinforce, so this should be held. But I mean, E68 just trying to find the right moments to attack the Sky Altar time and time again.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the backtrack that blue team did ended up being like a really good angle to swarm down that rally. It's like when it's like when the enemy leaves a flag area in KVK and like your team is able to just like easily swarm down the Archer rally. It was kind of a situation like that here. So it does look like this David has a pretty good chance of holding on. And so, yeah, a good hold for 1473 there. And overall, with the map state, I mean, 5.5 minutes till arc. There's still plenty of time for teams to do stuff on the side. And with the E68, them being on the offense in a lot of these lanes, that does work pretty well for them here, Plato, right? Like these marches can die off at a structure like the Desert Altar, and then if they die off quick, they get to mid early. If they die off late, they get to mid on time. In either case, you wear down blue, you maybe make them walk back home, and your fresh marches go straight to mid. So aggressive timing here for E68, staying on the attack, and I think this will line up pretty well for them mid. Although as you look around the map, we do have to note one thing. The Altar of Anubis on the bottom side is going to spawn at the exact same time as the Arc spawns.
That's pretty interesting. That do you think E68 did that on purpose? It's like, all right, you got to pick one or the other. You got to pick the Anubis or you got to pick the Arc. Obviously, the Arc is going to be the higher priority, but perhaps there's a consolation prize for whomever doesn't get the Arc if they want to grab it in this Altar of Anubis. But this is a very early rotation from E68. We saw them last time rotate super late, but this time they're rotating super early. We have eyes on it though with these scout marches. This is what I call the mobile sentries, when you have the double C just walking around middle, sniffing out, trying to see what is available or what marches have been committed. We have 4 minutes left, and it does look like it's going to be a pretty heavy commit from E68, and we'll have to see how 1473 responds.
Yeah, the scouting here is pretty wild, Plato. I mean, if you're the blue team, do you really need this many scouts? Like, you have to go to mid and force, bro. Like, regardless, you have to go to mid and force. You know, there's just no way you can like give up another arc after you half show up for the first one. So yeah, the scouting. I mean, the scouting got the info they needed, which is basically the enemies going in force, and we're a little bit late to get to the party.
I will say it's a bit more than a scout force. Maybe it's a harassment force here, where they're just gonna attack these marches, get them low, not sad face them, or I guess sad face them in that double C's case. But I think when I used to play Arc way back in the day, one of the most annoying things is just having a little murder ball here. You're being told to just run middle and then ignore them, and then your marches are just red when they go to middle, so there's no point. So perhaps they're just trying to whittle down the murder ball a little bit while also seconding as a scout party. But you could see here, this is E68, just a lot of players here, and an early Desert Storm from E68, a very early Desert Storm, but it is responded to by 1473. So a little bit of chip damage to these murder balls.
Yeah, early Desert Storm's pretty interesting. Let's see, who cast that first? It was
E68.
E68 cast it first. Okay, so I was thinking it was maybe a Desert Storm to keep red off me, because yeah, E68 is definitely threatening pretty hard. They're thinking about like the early engage, but I think at this point they don't want it. Like, they do not want the smoke at this point. And if anything, E68 is overextended and needs to back up. But yeah, I mean, this is almost like the first chill moment of the entire match at this point. And for as much as blue team is getting here a little bit late, at this point we are seeing a rather full mobilization from blue going mid. If anything, it is blue who is mobilizing more heavily to mid than the red team at this point. Red team is trying to do some stuff on the side. They want to take that Shrine of War before the arc spawns. And they also seem to be, they could be sending to Anubis. So E68, they are in a tough spot here. They have overextended, and they only half realize that they are outnumbered.
Oh man, this is going to be a huge mid-fight. This mid-fight can make or break the game. Will 1473 be able to come back, or will E68 take the victory and take the major lead here? Oh man.
I think they're about to get swamped. I think where E68 is standing is pretty crazy, Plato. I mean, 1473, they are not only posturing aggressively, but they're trying to look for an angle on this fight, you know, waiting for more of their players to come. Unless I'm counting this wrong, I do think that 1473 has more people here. So I think we're going to see a pretty big skill dump from both teams.
The murder ball has started here. Let's see the skills come out. It is going to be Heaven's Grace from 1473. So that's the first skill in this mid fight. No skills as of yet from E68, and I feel like this is the time you want to put the skills. This is the initial murder ball. This is how as the strongest your murder ball will be. Sad faces coming out from both sides, but overall, it does look like there are more red sad faces than blue. Arca is about to spawn in 10 seconds though. 7 seconds, 6, 5. Will the Arc Hair be able to clutch it up? There are way more blue marches around here. It looks like they're all able to tap the Arc at the same time. It'll come down to... Oh, the carriers are getting swarmed down though. Will they be able to get it? They were able to get it to their side, but it does not matter because 1473 super dominant in this mid fight.
Big win for 1473. They flipped the script from the first arc, where in this case they got to arc late, but they had the bigger numbers and they simply went in and used those superior numbers to grab the arc. And now they are also potentially positioned to grab the Anubis buff, but that's a different story. Big win for 1473. And now, Plato, what do you do? Like, do you give a heavy escort here, or do you break off and do other stuff? Because let's be real, you have to do other stuff. I mean, look at this Anubis. Look at all the red marches heading to this altar of Anubis.
Oh, no. They're coming in. They're like, I mean, thanks for doing the work. It's ours now.
Yep.
we're gonna snipe you guys. We're gonna take over this Anubis. But wow, I was kind of surprised by. Perhaps they just didn't have points. I was surprised by the lack of skills used by E68. I feel like with the less marches, with the lack of skills, perhaps they were like, all right, we're gonna give them this mid fight and try to do other things, such as take the Sky Altar, take the Altar of Anubis on this bottom side.
Yeah, and we have to wonder like what the rest of the E68 skill bar is, right? I mean, I thought the same thing. I thought they just sort of gave up on that mid, saved their skill points. But if all you're going to do for the rest of the match is use Time Warp and no mark a second time, as the red team does grab that Anubis buff. So they grab the Anubis buff, steal it from blue, but like what's on the skill bar? Because if all you're doing is saving for no mark, you're going to have those points even if you cast for the second mid fight. You know, like, do they have a master strategy on the bar?
Oh, talking about master strategy.
There it is.
That is what they were saving up. Sneaky tactics and master strategy. But look at the escort by 1473. They have...
Oh, no way. Can't work. This can't work.
They're spawn camping this master strategy. Oh, my goodness. What a ballsy play for their Arc of Osiris season. Wow, this is, I don't know if this is going to work, Brian.
No. Well, let's see how many they get through here. Decent. I mean, listen, they got almost the max 20 marches through that warp.
Yeah.
So it's possible. And they're flooding the zone. They're flooding the zone from the Desert Altar position. So we definitely got a fight on our hands here, Plato. No doubt about that. If you're blue, you did what you could. You gave it a big escort and you got that thing to your side as quickly as possible. But E68 is going to give it the old college try here, and it's almost no harm, no foul, in my opinion, if you're E68, because I think you still have enough to time warp and use no mark later on in the match. So you might as well warp this thing, try to secure the match here, right? E68 still has a 5,000 point lead in the match, so this arc is really only going to tie the match up if blue gets it, and it does look like blue is going to survive here after that master strategy play.
Yeah, this is I guess we see why they didn't pop any skills. I don't think they have mid skills. They have
no.
If you look at
look at the bar. They really don't.
They have sneaky tactics. They have master strategy, which are like the two sly sneaky skills. They have Desert Storm, which is their one mid skill, and then they have no mark and energetic. Like I'm assuming the last skill on their bar is going to be that time warp. So yeah, that's why they just did not commit to that mid fight. They want to go for the steal. 1473 though, they're like, hey, this is kind of suspect. Why did they not use any of their points? And what a good call to just fully send an escort. Although they are still down in this game, they are still down in points. Brian, what is next for 1473? Do you think they'll capture this arc super fast, or do you think they'll try to take this Warden of Anubis in the top side and then get the extra points?
I mean, they read the bar pretty well. They read their opponent's bar pretty well with that massive escort, thinking that, well, it's got to be master strategy. That's all that's left. So if they're reading the bar that well, they can say to themselves, listen, this team does not have a lot of mid skills, you know, and so we could potentially return this second arc and just win the third arc as well. It's a really interesting choice, Plato. Yep. And I believe they did return it, right? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
They've already returned it. Yeah, so I think that makes sense. I think it makes sense to just make this, you know, to put this game in the hands of a third arc, especially when you're trailing, right? Like, you just can't count on yourself winning the structure game to get back into this thing.
Especially when you're trailing, especially when you know your opponent's skill bar. They know 5 of the 6 skills. They know only one of them. I guess you could use Sneaky Tactics middle for a little bit of an attack buff. But for the most part, their bar is a lot more well equipped for a mid fight, as well as the fact that they have stocking up, so they'll be able to, you know, generate some more energy points here by bringing in these provisioners. So all things considered, this is going to be a really, really interesting game, because that last arc will make or break kind of the status quo that we've been seeing between these two teams.
Yeah, but there are a couple other factors we have to consider here. Like, yes, we make 1473 the favorite to win the third arc. However, what does E68 have on their side? First of all, they look pretty well positioned to take this second altar of Anubis. And they can also potentially skip the third mid, Plato. Like, if they feel like they're so disadvantaged at this mid, they could still time warp and use that second no mark on the side and try to just like skip mid and win enough. Now, of course, E6 or 1473, they could read that and also just do a half effort mid. So there's still like so many things that can happen in this match, but you know, getting this Anubis buff is certainly a big part of it. This is going to give you a points boost and it's going to give you march speed. And we can see the blue outline on the red marches, which means they already have the march speed buff from the other altar. So they're trying to do what blue did on the first round, which is take both Anubises.
Oh my goodness! No. Nah. Okay. E68 was able to take it. I thought it said Iset for a second. Oh my! So the thing is, if there's one march tapping it, you have a little bit of a chance to steal it. It's last hit.
You do.
So that makes this altar of Anubis. If you commit your whole murder ball, all of a sudden just this one double C walks in, somehow gets the last tap. You can get it stolen, but yeah, that is going to go towards E68. So everything going to plan. And as you said, when you're in the lead, you have the onus. You kind of have that priority of being able to decide, okay, we want to go full mid, or oh, do we want to go full structure? Because you have this lead to play with, especially with the point generation now. Look at this, 678 points per minute compared to 290 points per minute from 1473. 1473, they're going to want to stabilize their structures. They're down to 0 altars right now. And now this Sky Altar is going to start.
All 4 altars. All 4 altars. And I mean, let's do some quick maths here, Plato. With a 450 point per minute bonus right now, that's going to be about 2,300 points before the next mid if they can hold all these altars. That would give the red team a big enough lead where they could lose the third arc and still win the match. So if you are 1473 here, you have to get these buildings back. You have to swarm down this Hayam, another new commander in the mix here, a pretty solid garrison commander. In all honesty, Hayam has performed well, and blue team needs to get back their altars, and then they very do likely need to win this third arc against a red team that they don't know what the heck they're going to do.
Yeah, ever since that arc win from them, It kind of feels like E68 has been all over the map. They've been omnipresent. They're able to take the Desert Altar. I mean, they're able to take this. They did take the Desert Altar. They're able to take the Altar of Anubis. They're able to take the Sky Altar. They're able to take the Desert Altar. So overall, the pressure yet again has been on 1473. It's been on their side of the map. They've been feeling this pressure throughout the whole game. And now they're going to finally stabilize. But the damage has been done. Look at the point differential right now. 12 minutes left to go in the map. There's going to be 3 minutes until Arc spawns. I think it'll come down to if they're able to take this last arc. This last arc is going to be a must for them. And then on top of that, the provisions that they have. They have 2.3k in terms of provisions, but they've also allocated a lot more marches compared to E68 to provisions as well. So
they have Plato and they have it. Like, just scroll to the red side of the map and look at the gatherers for red.
1, 2, 3,
right?
4,
Like,
5.
Yeah. And like the thing is with red, like their gatherers are literally camping, waiting for the next resource node to spawn. So I do think that red team is actually E68. They are gathering a lot, and we just haven't seen those points yet because they don't have stocking up. I do think that E68 has a nice lead in this match right now, and they probably don't need to go to this last mid. I mean, if 1473 returns the last arc, that it's basically a tie game and it's like a gathering competition. And I think with the gathers that have already been returned for blue team, I wouldn't be surprised if E68 actually has more gathering points sitting out there in the field. But it's close, man. It's really close.
As you said, E68, they don't need to go for middle. But I think this approach is interesting. They're kind of putting marches everywhere and then saying, okay, we're gonna go middle, we're gonna go Sky Altar, we're gonna see what's going on in the Desert Altar, the Shrine of Life, just to poke around, see if there's any holes in the defense of 1473. Because the thing that's tough about being down is you need to be perfect right now. You need to be able to hold your structures while also winning a mid fight, and that balance tends to be where teams falter. Let's see if 1473 could walk this tightrope and come back to make a victory.
Yeah, balance is a good word here. Game theory optimal. Another way to see it is like, is E68 trying to be a little bit too game theory optimal here, where, I mean, I don't know if they're not like, it's the building flips are not looking super promising is what I would say, right? Sky Altar as usual. I mean, well, there it goes. Like, this Sky Altar has been the weak link for 1473 all match long. So they did find the hole. At the end of the day, E68 did find the hole in 1473's defense here. But 1473 still has a chance. The numbers mid look okay. They're stabilized at that Desert Altar. That's going to be big. So, can 1473 win this match if they lose that one altar but take the mid? It's very close, Vlado. At the end of the day, this is still very close, but they have to win this mid. Desert Storm's popping off.
Oh, it's Desert Storm no mark. It's Time Warp no mark from E68. So they're saying, yeah, we're just going to go structures. We have 4 altars right now. An absolutely big play. I don't know how they're able to do this. They are contesting middle while also taking all of the structures. This is absolutely huge from E68. They're like, okay, we have 4 altars. It doesn't matter if you get this arc. We're just gonna win the game with structures. And they still have mid control. There's 9 seconds until arc spawns. You can see now that the marches are pouring in from 1473, but it's gonna be a bit of a victory here from them. But at the same time, you see the rest of the map just continuing to be red, painted red on all of the blue buildings. It's gonna be absolutely tough for 1473 to come back from this, with the point differential being 767 points per minute compared to 210.
Yeah, big no mark here for E68, and E68, they forced the blue team to use Heaven's Grace mid. Heaven's Grace had to get cast mid for 1473 to potentially win this arc, and it does look like they are going to win it. Now, a big question here, Plato, is will 1473 get enough points by the end of this match to cast no mark for the second time? Now, they have some things going for them. They have stocking up that can give them extra points, and this third Altar of Anubis gives you an extra 2 skill points. So, it's not over, guys. This thing is not over. if it's like a 1,000 point lead for red, but blue team can still cast no mark for the second time.
Yeah, they can still cast no mark. We'll have to see if they're going to be able to. But look at the murder ball outside of this E68 desert sky altar rather. This sky altar, it is the home sky altar of 1473, but I'm telling you right now, E68 has been feeling at home at this sky altar, just taking it over and over and over again. And as you said, with this altar of Anubis, one thing is, if you have sky altar control, you kind of also have control of the altar of Anubis as well, as the arc was dropped. Now we have stocking up from 1473, so they're gonna probably start bringing in some of those provisioners that we've been seeing just to generate some points to get, you know, to be able to pop that no mark skill as you're talking about.
Yeah, everything about this match is so close. The ratio of kills to wounded is close. The score is close. And so many fights at so many buildings is super close. But listen, at the end of the day, E68, they've got all 4 altars at the moment. You know, it took them a while to get the desert altar on the top side, but they have all 4 altars.
Can we talk about the points per minute for a second?
Yeah, that's crazy.
1,261 points per minute to 210. They're gaining 1,000 more points per minute. They're gaining in 4 minutes. That's the arc. That's literally the arc that they're gaining. And this has just been building dominance from E68. E68 going into this game, we have to remember, are the 2nd seed. They were the underdogs in this game. If you're talking about the seeding, where 1473 went undefeated in their group, they were super dominant, were uncontested. E68 lost against OWR, a great team in their own right, and they're saying, hey, we're still a team to be reckoned with right now. We have the building game on lock, Brian.
Fantastic building game from E68 all the way around. We've seen them running the QSH Shapur rallies and then flipping that to Hayam garrisons. That's very effective. And they're just taking advantage of the openings that 1473 has given them. 1473, they went pretty heavy mid, then they escorted heavily, and that just meant there were fewer marches on the sides. And so every time 1473 has been out of position, E68 has been able to do very crisp attacks on these buildings and then take them, get a strong garrison in there. We see the Heraclius YSS garrison in here. I think it's going to be a YSS secondary, and actually it's a CY secondary, right? So, you know, these archer garrisons have gotten to the point where like you can actually run archer rallies and switch to it. E68, really strong performance, and they're looking in the driver's seat, Plato, as we have no more arcs and they're sitting on a 4,000 point lead.
No more arcs, 4,000 point lead. Still up by 871 points per minute to 210. But this Arbiter of Anubis is going to be the last hope from 1473. They're going to try to get those points so that they can pop that extra skill, so that they can pop that no mark to try to squeeze a couple more points. Maybe with the provisions, they're going to be able to, you know, bring something in. But as you said, the provisions they're actually provision hunting on the other side. The provisioners from E68 have been putting in work this whole game, and they still have not cashed in yet. So perhaps there's going to be a little bit of a point gap in terms of provisions for E68's favor. But you could see here, E68 now just pouring in marches to this altar of Anubis. 1473, this is like the kind of the tough part about the altar is you have the numbers right now. You could swarm down the altar if you want to, but if you don't clear out every single march from E68, there's a small chance, but there is a chance that that altar can be stolen from you. So if you're E68, you could just be a consistent pest. Like they're not even going towards the Arbiter of Anubis right now, and no mark has been popped from 1473. This is kind of like being an arc carrier, right? Just trying to snipe the arc to carry it last second. Perhaps the same thing with this Arbiter of Anubis here. And Brian, I mean, the game is getting more and more out of hand here as E68 continues to grow their lead.
It's a 4,000 point lead for E68. As you point out, the blue team did get their second no mark off, and so that does lessen the points per minute disadvantage here. And they're looking pretty good at this Arbiter of Anubis. You know, the other interesting thing, Plato, is like you look at the buffs, the 20% march speed, and you talk about like annoying the enemy. You know, you can win march speed at one of the altars, and then you can just kite them at the other altar with your extra march speed, right? You just like go in on them every time they try to finish this thing off. And it looks like that's sort of what Blue is doing now after they lose this fight. You know, they're kind of like just waiting at the last second, trying to steal this thing. It's desperation mode at this point for 1473. Look at the Achilles, no health left, but he's not sad facing. He's just dancing around trying to get this last hit. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, the Arbiters are interesting, man. They really are interesting because you can also win by just not letting the enemy get it.
Yeah, they're just playing right now. E68 able to get control of that altar of Anubis. They're going to be able to take control of this game. Were they able to bring in their provisioners? I don't see too many provisioners. I think they're starting to come home now.
Not yet. I guess they're just walking in right now. I guess they're getting hunted all the way home. This Margaret just getting absolutely hunted all the way home. But I mean, at the end of the day, those hunters didn't accomplish anything. You know, they just escorted the enemy gatherers home. No big deal for red team there. And they're taking their sweet time to kill this Arbiter of Anubis, aren't they?
Yeah, they were able to take it at the end. It took a while, but you could see that this was such a close match, and I think it kind of encapsulates the new aspects to Ark of Osiris. We saw the new garrisons, we saw the Sun Tzus come out, we saw the Anubis being a lot more of a focus than what we originally thought. It was like kind of like a half of a mid-fight kind of for these altars of Anubis. So we'll have to continue to see in Ark of Osiris if these altar of Anubis continue to be focused, or if there's going to be some kind of shenanigans around the altar. I think one of the top plays is going to be some kind of altar of Anubis steal eventually in this Ark season. But look at this, an 8k point differential, 4.3k of provisions from 1368.
Boom.
My goodness,
Boom.
They were putting in the work provisioning. No provisioners coming in from 1473. So ladies and gentlemen, the first Ark match that we've casted this season looks to be an upset. The second seed E68 able to take the victory against 1473 as of right now. Brian, this is just an absolutely fun match, but E68 were just able to take the victory at the end. What do you think?
It was a strong performance from E68. I think what's interesting to me, Plato, is just that, like, I don't even think an Arc lead can control a match like that. I think the players had to make good decisions about where to go, right? Because, I mean, we just saw like 4 versus 4 battles all over the map, you know, 15 marches on your team, 15 marches on my team. I mean, it was nothing like the traditional Arc match where you see an entire lane pushing together, or sometimes an entire side all pushing one lane. Like, every lane was always getting pushed, and there was fighting at the altar, and there was fighting mid. I mean, you just need players making good decisions about where to send their marches in a situation like this. And I think in this case, E68, they've got more Arc experience, they've had more success in the past, and we saw, you know, all respect to 1473, but in this case, I think we saw the better team win the day.
GG's, E68 have taken the victory against 1473. You could see the Arc points do go to 1473, but everything else, the occupation score, the provision score, going to E68, and they will be going on in this tournament, making it to the quarterfinals, while at 1473, their season has been cut short. Brian, do you have any final words before we end this cast?
Lotto, it's great to be back with you for another Osiris League season. We do have another match coming up at 15 UTC on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. That's going to be me and Chisgul casting that one. But, buddy, let's just buckle up and have another great season.
Yes, sir. This is going to be a fun one. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.